Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Championship Checking podcast with myself, Benjamin Bloom, and the great Sam Parkin. We are going to be talking Birmingham and Wrexham, both now confirmed as automatically promoted from League One, going to be in the Championship next season. We're going to do a bit of EFL awards chat and a bit of playoffs and relegation ahead of what is going to be an incredible round 46 coming up this weekend. Sam, Twitter went a bit mad, didn't it? It was Dan James, Gus Harmer, and James Trafford up for the EFL Championship Player of the Season. I've nailed my colours to the mast. I think James Trafford has done something extraordinary this season. I think Harmer is a great player, a cheat code. I think James was probably the pick from Leeds as well. But I wouldn't have had Harmer winning Player of the Year. I would have had Trafford. Good morning. Thoughts?
Morning. Yeah, with you, mate. Although I would probably settle it with a toss of a coin between Trafford and Estev would probably be my hunch. Yeah, the goalkeeper's been amazing. I mean, I was watching the game against Watford the other day when his save, and this doesn't happen too often considering I spent my life trying to put the ball past keepers, but he made a save that took my
Yeah, the
breath away,
fingertip.
really, the
Yeah.
fingertip save. But yeah, I think Estev's a top quality centre half. I think he's been unbelievable pretty much. Maybe not in that Watford game, actually, but other than that, incredible. So yeah, I'd probably have, this is one club, I'd probably have four Burnley players in front of Harmer. And I would
Crikey.
probably have two or three Leeds players in front of him as well. I know Brownhill probably, I think even Burnley fans at times have not probably seen exactly what he brings to the party. But for the goals alone in the last month, the amount of goals that have got points in big games, he has to be in the reckoning. Egan Riley as well. Yeah, just to focus on Burnley. So I love Harmer. I think he is that one that can provide a bit of brilliance, in a really tight, cagey game. He's
He
the
really turned up in the playoffs for Coventry last time as well,
he's
didn't
a
he?
bit of a wild card, I think, for Chris Wilder, because even Chris Wilder likes the structure, and he struggled a little bit for, I suppose, the form of the front players, the continuity in selection. That's all been a subject that we've spoken about throughout the season. Chris Wilder, could he get O'Hare and Harmer functioning together in a 4-2-3-1? Who's going to play over on the left? Well, I think Harmer tucking in off that side, bringing a bit of invention, bit of creativity, has been brilliant, but he's not been the best player in the league. So yeah, I'd imagine the lads that were there the other night of the Burnley persuasion and the Leeds players and punters, yeah, can be a little bit irked that maybe one of their lads hasn't taken the top prize.
Bit of admin. We'll talk manager of the season. Scott Parker won it after we know who's won the title, because honestly, that's kind of the razor that I'm judging
Mm.
this one on now. And also, Sam and I will be picking as we have great fun arguing about our championship team of the season. We can't do it the way the EFL have done it. It's too silly with the chasms in finances because it would just all be players from parachute teams. So Sam and I will probably be doing two per club. We'll do your little bench and we'll do your manager as well, so we can get more players represented from more clubs as well. Right. Welcome, Birmingham. A few weeks ago, they're going to score 200 points, I think, this season before we're all done. But it's now also welcome Wrexham into the championship. First of all, Sam, you were at Wrexham. I think people might, if they haven't been following it, might be surprised to know that Wrexham are a little bit more, I don't know, like Darren Moore's Sheffield Wednesday in their style than Ipswich's Kieran McKenna in terms of a couple of League One examples that are coming up. Massive kind of narrative and headlines around them. Let's talk first about Wrexham, and then I'm really interested in the broad picture, Sam. As the championship mid-table just disappears, where are they going to fit in the hierarchy? Because I'm sure a few people are expecting them to fit fairly
Mm.
high in the hierarchy. Start me with Wrexham, though.
Yeah, well, I said post match the other day that they could potentially, because they'll add to the squad, I'm sure, and investment will be there and obvious that they could potentially focus on a top half finish. And I was a little bit regretting that when I was making my way south after the game, because
Why?
Uh,
I
Um,
don't necessarily disagree, and we haven't seen what's happened in
yeah,
the window.
yeah. You have to wait and see. I think that's probably um, my thought process. You have to see where they add. But to flip it the other side of the coin is you get that little surprise element as well. We've seen it so often across the years. I remember the Luton team way back when, even before I joined, early noughties that got promoted from League Two, League One into the Championship, finished top half. I think
Do you
maybe
remember
had
the Colchester one
aspirations.
as well with Curitin and Uwaluma? They were nearly in the blooming playoffs just on momentum, weren't they?
Millwall as well. Millwall's first year up, first couple of years up. Obviously, Gary Rowett had them very close as well, relatively recently. So you normally get that, or you can get that in the first season up in the Championship. And I think that Birmingham and Wrexham, with their resources, can be hopeful of not, you know, being akin to what Oxford and Portsmouth have been in the last few weeks. And listen, they are incredible achievements. Gary Rowett, to go back to the EFL Awards, Gary Rowett, John Messino, there's probably a couple of others that I can't
I think
grab.
Mr. Eustace might be the real manager of the season,
Yeah,
depending what happens on
there you
Saturday as
go.
well, mightn't he?
Yeah, if
Yeah.
they stay up, there's three for you that, if you had a top five, top six would certainly be in that list. So yeah, Wrexham, interestingly, last year they shipped too many goals, even in a promotion season. And
So just
obviously,
quickly, Sam, for listeners who haven't been following, Wrexham have gone consecutive seasons, National League, League Two, League One, Championship. It would be unprecedented to go all the way in consecutive seasons, wouldn't
yeah,
it?
it's the
Wow.
first time this has been done at this level, the three back to back. It's been done in non-league and various other guises. Yeah, the point I was going to make was last year, even though they had a really successful season, they conceded so many goals. And early part of the season, it was quite surprising given Phil Parkinson's track record and what his teams invariably look like. So this year, I think 23 clean sheets now, the best defensive record in the division.
Brilliant.
Previously it was about Paul Mullen, it was about being free scoring. Ollie Palmer contributed hugely to that as well. Loads of goals in the team. If you score three, we'll score four. That's how it felt last season and probably during the National League campaign as well. Partly because Mullen and the like were too good for the level. All of a sudden, come up to League One, goals are hard to come by. Mullen's had an indifferent period with form, with injury. Palmer's not been in the side either. One or two obviously inevitably move on when you rise up through the levels. So they've had to do it a different way. So I just thought that was really something that stood out to me looking at all the statistics. The flip side of it is they're 12th for XG4. They were
They never
11th
have the ball, do they?
11th for big chances. This is a couple I picked out before the game against Charlton because Charlton are similarly uh, in terms of the statistical setup. 11th for shots per game. This isn't a team that creates an abundance of chances, but with Scar, Matty James, George Dobson, Ollie Rathbone, James McLean, names that roll off the tongue in terms of EFL
Experience and caliber,
longevity,
yeah.
brilliant characters, and that came to the fore at the weekend. And another interesting conversation I had with Luke Chambers, one of your old boys, and Jason Ewell after the game was just Phil Parkinson is that type of manager, similarly to Nigel Clough was the example I gave. Experienced boys. I want success today, not tomorrow. And those managers are hard to come by these days. And Phil Parkinson wants his boys to be experienced, to know their way around the block. And that's how, in essence, they've got promoted. So, how they attack it next year, fascinating. If Phil
Mm.
Parkinson is the man to lead them into the second tier, which I presume he will be, I'd expect more of the same, but probably bigger names, bigger salaries, and with the potential of going again. So, yeah, it's the one name I'd pick out for everyone to look out for next season because I think he's coming into his prime now is Sam Smith, who got 2 goals at the weekend. He's obviously did really well at Cambridge, great period at Reading, couple of million quid, I think, give or take. Yeah, raised a few eyebrows. He is not only a goal scorer, he is a pest. Very aggressive, gets around the pitch, accomplished footballer. He's someone that's probably really ready for this next stage in his career. So they'll supplement him, I'm sure, with some more forward players. But he's one to keep an eye out for, absolutely.
Going to be absolutely
Should we do
fascinating.
Birmingham quickly?
Uh, Quickly, let me just respond on Wrexham, because as you were talking, all I could visualise was Mel Morris era Derby County, because they tried to do what you've just pitched that Wrexham have done in the Championship. It was always quite expensive, very experienced. There would be Keogh, Joe Ledley, or Tom Ince, or whoever, been around the block, those type of figures. And all I'll say is there was always somebody doing it a bit more sprightly, a bit more innovative, a bit more dynamic that would just be above Derby in those years, wasn't it? So it's going to be really, really interesting. But as you're about to say,
how did I go through all that without saying that my commentary position was about 10 yards away from Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively?
oh, there
And
you
I
go.
got
They're not very popular at the moment, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, are they? There's some kind of weird lawsuit going on with something in Hollywood with those two.
I have
Not
no
I know.
idea, but you don't expect me to go there. But I got I got shoehorned into
allegedly everything.
I got shoehorned into the presentation party post match because I was over the other side of the ground, and very kindly I was asked if I wanted to join for the last half an hour or so. So I went through, and so I had a little bit of a sweat on because I had to kind of slalom through celebrating Wrexham supporters of all generations across the pitch, and Caroline Barker chucked me on microphone, so I was a bit.
Caroline's brilliant, Sam.
She was phenomenal at the weekend, absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, with everything going on, to keep your composure, to move the conversation on, to bring in other people, interviewing players and supporters around the ground, she was phenomenal. And obviously, I've worked with her over the years, so she's great. So she got me involved, and no sooner did I answer the question, we were joined by the Wrexham owners, which was good. Didn't really know what to do with myself. Thankfully, us ex-footballers weren't given the opportunity to ask a bad question, and we left it to Caroline to perform a bit of a masterclass. So brilliant to be a part of it in a small way, because these days are great. And I didn't say it on air because I didn't get an opportunity, but I played at the racecourse in the third tier a few years ago. And they had a brilliant team then. They had Andy Morrell scoring buckets. They had Lee Trundle coming through. Yeah. They had Carlos Edwards, another one of your ex-Ipswich players on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Some brilliant players, and it's a brilliant club. And, you can get carried away with the American and Canadian owners and the influence and the TV and the what have you, the documentary. But these are football supporters passionate about a really good club. And if I was playing, I would have given anything to go and be a part of this, because it's such an exciting time, such a great atmosphere. And, all these clubs up and down the country, have lean periods, have difficult times. Wrexham have certainly had that, and they'll have it again. Just let them enjoy it, because, I'm sure the time will come for every club in the country to have success in the years ahead.
I totally echo that, Sam. People are right to talk about money and finances and inequality, but you're totally, totally right. Behind that, there are normal football supporters, and you don't begrudge them being happy, particularly after some very lean times. As I was going to say, Wrexham might not even be the best team in terms, the league table would tell us they're not the best team coming up next year, or the biggest threat, because Birmingham have obviously done it rather differently. And lots of Birmingham fans asked me to compare and contrast to Ipswich, where you have a club stagnating, problem, ownership change. Lots of parallels. I know it's a bit of a kind of tenuous comparison in some ways, but a club that resets in League One. And I mean, Birmingham have gone an extra level to Ipswich. I mean, Ipswich were the richest team in League One, clearly, we must acknowledge that. But Birmingham have been scarily kind of aggressive. You saw them a few weeks ago, Sam, but frankly, we knew there's no jeopardy. We knew Birmingham, we've known for months that they're, going to be sort of champions and scoring hundreds and hundreds of points. Can you just give me a quick little bit on Birmingham, and then package the two up? They are going to be a right nuisance, Birmingham and Wrexham, aren't they?
Yeah, another point that I kept making was, obviously there's been high-profile examples, and I think there are examples even lower down the EFL of teams that have been taken over, had money, and made a right mess of it. So I think, you have to say that the money's been spent wisely, and
God,
probably
look at where
more.
Reading are right now.
Yeah, and probably more pertinently, how clever was it getting Phil Parkinson at Wrexham, and how clever does this appointment with Chris Davis look at Birmingham?
Agreed.
And some of the players they brought in, it's Craig Gardner. I think that's still there, isn't he, calling the shots in terms of the players that are coming in. Really clever appointments. The manager, very different style to how Wrexham have gone about it, slightly more akin to maybe what Kieran McKenna's Ipswich were like, but even more control with the ball, even more kind of continental, even more Premier League. Not much deviates, really good players, a system that remains consistent. A left back in Cochrane who kind of flies up that side. Keshi Anderson coming in off the flank. What else have you got? You kind of got those Kieran Dow coming in and making himself a number 10, even though he's starting in a wide position. Two brilliantly adept ball playing central midfielders. And then obviously the outlier a little bit, and the thing that people have beaten them with is the amount of money they were able to spend on the prize asset up front in Stansfield. So I get
Well, a
that.
couple of the midfielders were pretty hefty as well. I think, is it Wilhelmsen that was like,
Williamson, yeah, very good
yeah,
player. Very good player. So Dow comes in, and those two are kind of like dual number 10s. There's a lot of movement, a lot of rotation, but in essence, that's kind of the setup, building a back three quite often. Davies, centre half, Clara, very, very good. Allsop, kind of almost, I probably would have questioned him earlier on in his career, and then all of a sudden he's become like a stellar goalkeeper with the ball at his feet in the last few years, which maybe went a little bit unnoticed previously. So, yeah, I don't think too much will change. They'll probably upgrade in. Well, I say upgrade, they'll probably just add some depth. And I expect the system to be very similar. They'll try and dominate the ball with that pattern I just outlined. But yeah, he has got so much good experience as a number 2 and as a coach, Chris Davis. You'd expect him to take to the championship like a duck to water, and them to. I'd almost be astonished if they're back where Birmingham have previously been in the championship in 17th,
no.
18th position. I'd be less surprised if it's a bit more of a struggle for Wrexham, and that's because of the style, whether they have to evolve straight away, or whether they'll try and evolve straight away, or if they'll attack it as they are right now, which has got its merits. But you probably need better players to do it successfully, which I'm sure they'll be looking at. But Birmingham, yeah, I don't expect them to struggle next year. Absolutely not. And I expect them to go big in the market as well.
Right. Please get in the comments, and we've got to do a bit of plug-in. Sam, if you're a Birmingham or a Wrexham fan, welcome to the Championship Checking podcast. And Sam and I will be here each and every week, and we would love you to be part of our.
We're going to be diving into the American market, then, mate. Are we? We're going to be hopefully getting a few viewers from over the pond.
I'm sure we will. Yeah, I'm sure we will. But yeah, you're very, very welcome. Birmingham, and particularly Wrexham fans, because obviously we never covered them in the Championship before. Sam, we're really, really short on time. We've got an incredible round 46 coming up, and we're about to do the predictions for, which I don't want to spoil. They're going to be coming out tomorrow. You've probably got about 90 seconds on each, Sam. Playoffs, Bristol City couldn't, obviously, tricky, get the job done last night at least. That would have had them confirmed. So we do still go into the final day with the possibility that any one of Bristol City, Coventry, Millwall, Blackburn, Middlesbrough could end in the playoffs. We can't have Middlesbrough and Coventry because they play each other. And obviously Millwall have to go away to Burnley, don't they? Blackburn play Sheffield United. So even though Bristol City have slipped up, they get another go at it. But Sam, they're playing Preston, who are in that relegation battle. Sorry, I offered you 90 seconds, then I babbled for 45 of them myself. Quick thoughts on the playoffs, mate?
Yeah, just brilliant going into the final day. Who would have thought Blackburn would be back there?
Not me.
Who would have thought Mill would go 5 victories in 6 games? I suppose. Do I fully trust Bristol City as I sit here this morning?
Don't spoil your predictions.
I think it's so difficult to. Obviously, you would have looked at their last game and said, that's a really nice fixture coming into the season, but coming into the last knockings. But all of a sudden, with Preston having to probably get something, it becomes a little bit of a lottery. That said, I just wanted to say I don't think Bristol City have lost at home against anyone in the bottom half, and I don't think Preston have won away against
Mate, round
anyone in the top
46 is a
half.
very strange place, matey.
And Preston have lost 4 on the spin, so on and so forth. So, but I would still trust Bristol City maybe to get it done. And then we've got Coventry, Middlesbrough. I just think Coventry are maybe just stuttering over the line because of a slight lack of form in terms of the performances, but also some big losses. I think the goalkeeper a few weeks ago, Thomas, he was, I think, the best player, wasn't he, around about a
both,
month or
both
so ago?
boxes.
Both boxes. I think Van Evijk missed the other day as well. So
Yep.
they've just stuttered a little bit. And Middlesbrough, really poor record against the top teams in the division, especially away from home. But they're pretty bright and can win on the road, can't they? So nobody's ruled out. Blackburn at Sheffield United and Millwall at Burnley. Let's put those together. Who knows? Who knows what's going to turn up there? Who would I fancy winning more? I think you'd have to say Blackburn, just given that Sheffield United have got a few more games to go. Burnley, after
100
last
points and the
night.
title possibly up for grabs.
Yeah, it is, but I think Leeds win at Plymouth. So, I wouldn't rule out Millwall spoiling the celebrations and maybe sneaking in themselves. So it's astonishingly exciting. Can't wait. And everyone's going to need a few screens on the go, aren't they, to see how it all plays out.
There you go. I spend my life telling my little daughter not to look at screens, and then I've got about 50 of them in front of me all the time. Sam, we have run out of time. If you want to hear about the relegation zone, I did the hot takes on that, and we're about to do the predictions. So Sam and I are literally going to reveal by proxy who we think is going down. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Championship Check. And I know we're not quite finished because the playoffs are coming, but for the regular season, the support has been absolutely fantastic. We appreciate each and every one of you. Get your thoughts down there in the comments. And again, a big welcome to Birmingham and Wrexham fans. Get subscribing, and we'll see you each and every week next season.